Hey everybody, Matthew with X19 Restoration. So today we are going to work with the black Fiat today a little bit. We're going to bleed the brakes, we're going to bleed the clutch, and hopefully get that out on the road today. It's going to be a great day. It's really nice out in Washington. So yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to hopefully get a good drive on that one today, open it up a little bit, see how it does. We'll have footage of that. And then we are also going to build a makeshift storage area right here by where we're working on them. And we're going to hopefully get this orange one that we have in the driveway right now emptied out with all the parts and kind of organized. And then where you may even jump into, getting some of the stripping of it done. I don't think it's worth saving, so I think we're going to end up stripping everything off of it and end up getting rid of it. So, yeah, join us. We're going to have some fun. Hope you guys too. Like and subscribe.
Here, you guys push, I'll steer. Hey guys, it's the old man here. Digging through some Fiat parts today. Came across a handful of keys. Just so happened to be that one of the sets of keys I found is for this parts car here. And we're working on the Black Beast today, trying to get some brakes and get a clutch. And so we don't have to hotwire it. We're popping the steering column out and we're going to dump it into the other car real fast. Also happens to be that we have a set of door keys for this car, so once I locate the door latches that I took off of it and put away for future use, we'll also have a set of door locks. In addition, I found a whole bunch of brand new Fiat key blanks, so we should be able to get some copies made here pretty soon. And I talked to the guy that I got all these parts cars from, and turns out he's got a box full of keys that may not fit several of these cars.
Smaller.
So, anyway, we'll check back in a few. Alright guys, it's the next morning. We stayed up pretty late last night working on the Black Beast here. A few things we learned. We got a couple of electrical issues, kind of played around with a few things. The electric windows are really slow. One of the headlight doors is not coming up by itself unless you manually spin it partway open. So we got a bad ground or a bad relay. Electrical stuff's really not too much of a problem for me. I specialized in that for a long time, so we'll get that sorted out. These cars are notorious for having bad grounds and whatnot. Been trying to locate at least one key that would fit any of the ignition switches we have around here. Here's one of the ones I dug out. Anybody ever wants to change one of these things, you'll notice that these bolts got rounded heads on them. And the reason for that is because when the switch comes new, there's actually a head on these bolts, so when you go to tighten them down, as soon as they get tight, the head snaps off, so it's not easy to steal. But turns out, I was digging through some stuff yesterday, found this little box of keys. And what I ended up with is I had a whole bunch of door key blanks and a set of ignition keys that just so happens to fit the orange parts car over there. And so we pulled the steering column out of that so we didn't have to drill or take a punch to the ignition switch and try to salvage the bolts to put it in this car. So we got an ignition switch now. Got a set of door latches off that car that'll end up in this, so we'll have a matching set, full set of keys. The other thing that we spent our time yesterday working on was trying to get the clutch working in this thing. And I pulled the master cylinder out from underneath the dash, and everything was moving freely on it. Didn't appear to be leaking anywhere. But the slave cylinder was plugged really bad. Tried to blow the lines out with some compressed air, and it took a little work to finally get that thing to open up. But the slave cylinder that was on the parts car was in much better shape. I didn't have a kit, didn't have another new slave cylinder to put on, so we're hoping that everything we got here is good. But one of the biggest problems with these cars is because the distance from the reservoir for the clutch, which is over here next to the brake fluid reservoir, runs a line all the way across front of the firewall into the car, up into a block into the master cylinder. Then from the master cylinder, there's a steel line that runs all the way down through the shifter tunnel, back into the engine compartment, and hits the slave cylinder. And there's lots of high and low spots and everything for the air to really screw you up from getting them bled. And I've got one of these Mighty Vac vacuum bleeders here. You can see we've been already playing around with it to some extent. What we've been doing, and we're gonna do some more, is actually take the lid off the reservoir here.
Let me get over that way.
We've got this little right angle adapter on here and this little cone shaped nipple that goes on here. You put it down in the slave cylinder, and it's a little messy, but get that thing in there into the hole where the nipple comes off of the reservoir. Matt was actually doing this last night. I don't really have a feel for it yet, but I'm gonna try to get it in there.
It's right there at the very bottom. It's kind of in a ridge, and you'll notice it right when that thing actually sits in there.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a pain in the butt to get in there, and my fingers are kind of fat.
Once you get it lined up and you put your finger on the back of the thing, it'll slide right in on there. You want me to drive it?
I think you got it.
Okay.
Anyway, what our idea is, we're gonna start pulling this up out of there. And it looks like we're not getting a lot. See, we got a whole bunch of air bubbles coming up now. And we got to get all that air out of there. And by blowing that line out with the compressed air, of course, we filled the whole system up with air. And main thing, we want to keep this reservoir full while we're trying to get all this air pumped out of this thing. So this little container fills up pretty fast. And just take it. We'll dump it back in there. All this fluid looks pretty good. We want to keep this thing full. And
you might want to pop that nipple out of there. That way we can let it drain down in from the air you already pulled.
Well, I'm going to work it just a little bit more.
Okay.
It's really pulling that fluid down. I actually watched a couple of YouTube videos on bleeding clutches, and this is by far the best way to do it, is to basically get the highest point so that the air comes up easy, and then you pull this thing out, let that fluid drain down. See, you hear all that air? We want to just keep working this till we get all that air out of the system, and once we get all the air out, then we should be able to get a decent pedal. One of the things I wanted to mention, and I did post on one of the X19 pages on Facebook that we're members of, is that we know there's quite a few people around the Pacific Northwest that have Fiats. A lot of them with X19s, but we're not too picky. We're talking about maybe in September or August going for a drive over Highway 20, which is the North Cascades Pass, and maybe making a trip through Lake Chelan and Leavenworth, and then go over Stevens Pass on a return trip. And it'd be nice if we get enough guys together to kind of have a fun day out of it, get to show off everybody's cars. So if anybody's interested in that, guys, throw it in the comments, and we'll start working on getting something put together. And maybe we'll do some prizes or something for best original, best modded car, whatnot, and have a little fun with it. So if that's something you guys are interested in, make sure you throw a comment down. Let us know where you're from. Be interested to see how far people would be willing to come for a good, solid, all-day long drive. Might we make a whole weekend out of it. And
Have a couple pacer cars with parts and extras.
Yeah, we'll bring some extra parts, some extra fluids, a few tools, get a spotter truck for us, and get a whole bunch of video. And it's beautiful up on the North Cascades Pass. If you've never been there, if you've never made the drive, honestly, get on YouTube. There's some really nice videos out here. Just look up Diablo Dam and or Highway 20 or the North Cascades Pass in general, and look at some of the videos that people have posted on there. It's really a beautiful drive up through the mountains. And that time of year, perfect to have the top off the car. Yeah, we're still getting a lot of air here. And I'm almost tempted to take this line off down here and just bleed right through the line directly. I want to make sure I'm not, this nipple is actually fitting down in there tight enough, and it's not actually creating more of a problem. I know that there's a lot of air in the system, so it is taking a while to get it all out. We must have got it flushed pretty good because this fluid all looks new and pretty clean. So
Yeah.
I don't think we got a whole lot left over the old stuff, but I'm gonna dry my hands off and check this pedal and see if we're getting any yet.
Stay tuned, guys. We're gonna work on this for a little while, and we'll be back to record and let you guys know how it's going. All right, everybody. So my dad and I were out here today. We were looking at this X19, the Black Beast, as we're calling it now. So what we figured out, okay, so this morning, as you saw, we were in there trying to get that to the clutch to bleed. So we ended up taking the reservoir off. We put that bleeder or that vacuum to the actual hose, and at that point we made finally a good enough seal to actually hear that the master is leaking. So what I'm going to end up doing today here shortly, I got to get Jace to baseball practice first, but I'm going to get into the parts car, the orange one that we have out here. I'm going to take the master out of that one because when my dad pushed the pedal before we pulled the slave cylinder out, it was all pressurized and good. So we're going to try and take the master out and swap it into the Black Beast. And then we are going to see if we can actually get the vacuum on that, on the Black Beast. So we can maybe even get some pedal today. And then I think he's off at 7 tonight. So I think we're going to end up doing a little bit more to it. I mean, we've been really excited. We finally delve into these things and we are just having a ball. Like I went up to work today, to his work today, and he's like, dude, I just want to go home and work on these. So, you know, we're getting really ambitious. We're finally digging into some of them. So yeah, please like and subscribe us. We're going to be having content out. As you heard in this video, we actually are planning possibly an annual Fiat drive around North Central Washington. So yeah, comment below about that. Tell us how far you'd be willing to drive and if you'd be interested in joining with us with that. So stay tuned. We're gonna have more videos up here shortly. I'm gonna be out here after baseball practice getting these master cylinders swapped out and see if we can actually get this thing on the road today. Stay tuned.